Alright folks, how y'all doing today? This is Yusufchowdhury, digital marketing coach here in San Antonio, Texas. We are doing a live workshop on WordPress 101. So it might last till 3 p.m. Right now, it's what time is it right now?
Well, I don't know if that's just special for the picture.
9:30? It's 9:30 a.m. here in San Antonio, Texas. Central time zone, of course. So hopefully we're going to do a class like, 30-minute session, 10-minute break. We'll come back and then hopefully we'll finish it by 3 o'clock. So y'all enjoy the class. I apologize that I won't be able to engage with you guys because I'm giving this class. I mean, come on. Does that make sense? There we go. Y'all can just stare there. I'm going to go ahead and start. Periscope people, have fun. Okay, looks good, right? Looks good. Look at that. Henry, he's from San Antonio. Henry, come to Kirby, man. Kirby Steakhouse. What are you doing there this morning? Get off your bed, man. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do, if you want to connect with me in all these social sites, or that's my cell phone number, because I trust you all with my cell phone number, so you can call me anytime, 24/7, okay? Or text me, and that's my personal website. So if you have any question in the future that you are confused or you don't know what to do, feel free to text me, okay? Or connect me in Facebook or Twitter and whatnot, okay? All right. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to start with the basic, then from there we'll go through the back end of the site. Basically what I mean by that, once we log in, I will explain to you what each section means, okay? This is not a coding class. This is not something like advanced, but something very basic, because I'll always love to start with the basic, because if you get the foundation right, then everything else will be easy. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, so I always mention this before you start building a website. A lot of mistake that most small businesses do, that first of all, most of them don't have an idea why do they need a website. Does that make sense? If you ask them, why do you need a website, they will tell you, oh, because it's a brochure, or because somebody told me I need one. Does that make sense? But in reality, what we need to do is that before you even plan to get a domain name or a web hosting account, you have to have a clear objective, clear idea, who is your target market, like who you're targeting. Does that make sense? I know it looks like a simple question, but if I ask many leads and prospects, they have no clue. I ask them, who's your target market? They're like, I don't know, everybody. I'm like, no, you can't have everybody as your target market. So if you sell cupcakes, this is your business, who is your target market? Women, one, okay. Yeah, that's good, women, one, and what else? I'm sorry? Sweet eaters, okay, more?
Who eats cupcakes?
Those who eat cupcakes, make it more specific, because that's still general. Weddings. There you go, party planners, women, weddings, sweet eaters, right? These are become my target market, right? And why it's so important? Because the messages that I'm going to write or type on my website talks to who? To my audience, right? If it's a wedding planner, are you a wedding planner? Or attention wedding planners, right? Attention, event planners, whatnot. So I'm talking to them. Does that make sense? Because when they land on your website, you need to make sure that you're talking to them and not anybody else. You don't want somebody that loves Harley Davidson motorbike to land into a cupcake website. That's not going to work. Okay, maybe occasionally, but not all the time. That's the first thing. Then secondly, what do you want the visitor to do? If I come to your website, let's look at the Kirby Steakhouse, an amazing restaurant, amazing website. If I'm a customer, if I'm going there, what do you want me to do on the website? As an example.
Click on pages.
Yep.
Click on pages.
Look at our events.
Look at our events. Look at the menu.
Get more engaged into or contact us.
Contact us. Okay, good. What else?
Either buy my product or use my service.
Buy my product or use my service, right? Great answers. Now, how would you do that? How would you make them buy your product and service? How would you make them look at the menu?
Keep it engaging. You got to create something engaging that catches their attention. And
Something like, you're absolutely correct. Something like catches their attention. How?
Pictures.
Pictures, good. What else? Media, like kind of video, right? What else? Videos.
Give them something free.
Give them something free. How about this thing? Look at it from your perspective. You're going to go eat a Greek food. You find this website, I don't know, San Antonio Crazy Greek restaurant, right? And you want to look at the menu. So the first thing you're going to look for, menu page. right? So what does that mean? That means the menu page has to be clear, it has to be accessible, it has to be visible. Maybe the main objective of your website for your target market to see the menu, right? If that is the case, then you have to make sure that the menu page or the button or the color or the text or the font stands out or bigger or different color. Sounds very simple, but most people don't look into it. Does that make sense? So you have to have a clear idea, what do I want them to do? Like for instance, I tell a lot of small businesses that if you get, assuming within 6 months, you ended up getting 50 to 100 hits a day, like traffic, right? So somebody comes to your website, what do you want them to do? Typically, you should collect the name and email address because that becomes your lead. You don't want them to just pass by your shop, right? So you have to add some sort of offer. Like, you know, if you're into fitness, if you're a fitness trainer, you can say something like, you know, get my, I don't know, 10-step training, fitness, crazy, whatever, that you can lose 100 pounds in 1 minute. Well, give me name an email. All right, here we go. Name an email. I need that stuff. What is the secret? Right? The secret of life, right? So that's how you capture them. You have to give them some sort of amazing offer and you capture the name and email. Then you are going to use the email marketing to engage with them. Does that make sense? But the message has to be clear. Let's say a plumber website, right? What do you think the most popular or common thing they want the customer to do when they visit their website? Call them. Ask for a code or call them, right? That means the number has to be big on the top corner, right? Or get a quote. Does that make sense? Because you want them to do that. Is that clear? So that's why you need to understand, what do you want the visitor to do? Do you want them to buy? Do you want them to opt in? Do you want them to call you? That has to be clear. Why? Because you have to put that on the website. What happens is that if your target market is not clear, if your objective of what the visitor needs to do is not clear, then your website is pointless because you don't want them to figure it out. You just exactly want to tell them what they need to do, okay? Then how many pages do you need? Right? How many pages do you need and why? I recommend not less than 5, which consist of home, services, about the company, blog, contact us. Home, why? Because everyone lands on the home page. Typically, everyone that goes to the website, automatically they will land where? On the home page, correct? All right, about, because if they don't know who you are, they want to know about you or about the company. They want to know a little bit. What's your background? What's your establishment? What's your experience? How many years you've been in business, right? Services, what service you offer? Does that make sense? I mean, imagine if you're offering a service and there's no service page, that's going to suck, all right? Like, what's the point of this page, right? Contact us because you want them to contact you. It could be a phone, it could be a form, whatever the case may be. Now, why did I mention blog? Huh? Traffic? What else?
That's where you're going to write all your content, your keywords.
Right.
You put videos.
Excellent. Yes. What else?
It's new. It's new.
It's always fresh content, right? Good answers. What else? There's something I'm looking for it, which is very, very important. All these are correct answers, but I'm looking for something else. Why do we need a blog? I know from an SEO perspective, yes, it's needed because you're always updating the website. A website without a website, to write this thing down, a website without fresh content is a dead website. That means if you don't constantly put content, the search engine, whether it's Bing or Google or Yahoo, it's not going to come back and read it because there's nothing new. Does that make sense? So you have to constantly put something so the search engine can notice that there's some activities happening in order for the search engine to come back and maybe index it or maybe show it to somebody that are looking for that information, right? So that's what Ashley said, correct? And you said because of traffic. And you also talked about, to keep it alive and fresh. But there's something more important than all that. What is the benefit of having a consistent, amazing content to your audience?
The interaction.
That's true, but that's not what we're looking for.
Come back.
They'll come back, that's true, but still, there's something way, way important than that.
Tell us. Don't keep us on suspense.
You all are smart and genius people, right? I know you know. One word. Expertism. Right? You're expert. So when you talk about this subject, you don't have to convince the audience or your target market that you are the expert. Does that make sense? If I'm a real estate agent, if I'm a realtor or real estate investor or, financial planner, and I'm sharing all this amazing information about how to, why, case studies, I don't have to convince you that I'm an expert in financial planning. The fact that you're reading the content, oh wow, you're an expert. Does that make sense? So you build credibility, you build your expertise, you become that expert without telling them you're an expert. I mean, look at myself. I share a lot of content in social media. I don't tell them who I am. People call me all kinds of names. You are the SEO this, you're the social media that, you're the online marketing that. Why? Because of the content that I put out there. So I don't have to convince them. Does that make sense? And that's how you can build a trust and you can build your authority. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not just for the SEO purposes. I think for your customer, they need to understand who you are. A lot of makeup artists, when they make YouTube videos and blogs, why do you think they make 6 figures? Because all they do reviews. They give their honest opinion. They have some expertise level and do some cool stuff, and their audience enjoys it. And look, they're making good money. Does that make sense? So same thing. It doesn't matter what. Even a plumber, believe it or not, should blog. Okay, about the right equipment, the right faucet, the right material. Even we have clients that they do like roofing, they do roofing business and they blog every week. And guess what? Customer actually enjoys it because they're looking for some information and they learn from them. Oh, which company is this? They talk about this topic. Now they build that credibility. They build that expertise. Does that make sense? Even with the restaurant, if you talk about different cool stuff like events and how to make this specific food or that kind of builds credibility. Okay. All right. So how many pages do you need? I mentioned not less than 4 or 5, but don't put like 20 pages on the navigation because the more you put, what happens? They get lost, and plus they lose interest. But what happens if you keep it few, you are forcing them to check those few. Now, you say, what about, I have like 20 services. I can just put services. I need to specify each service. No problem. Create a service page and make a sub-pages of each of those services. That is fine. But visually, you don't want to overcrowd it. Because it's overcrowded, it's not easy on the eye, and plus, they might not look at all the pages, and they might miss out some important topics. Does that make sense? So, I recommend 5, but that doesn't mean you have to do 5. Don't go like 20, on the one navigation. You can have 20 if you just make them sub-pages, okay? Then after that, you have to know the purpose, like, why do I need the home page? Because this is what people land on it. Why do I need the service page? Because this is what I provide. Why do I need a contact page? Because I want the customer to contact me. So whatever pages you make, don't just make it for the sake of making it. Make it because there is a clear purpose behind it. Does that make sense? And the last one, of course, this is something mostly for SEO. When you build the site, you need to have some sort of sitemap. What does sitemap mean? So I have the home page, dash, service. Below the service, I have maybe 4 sub-pages. That's what the sitemap is for. Okay? Any question?
Not yet.
Not yet? Ooh, all right. Y'all are genius. Okay. So the basic thing is, of course, when you build a site, there's so many applications, so many software, so many platforms to build a website. Some are provided by the so-called domain providers like HostGator, GoDaddy, which is they call it free, but it's within their platform. Very basic, limited. You can do a lot of stuff. Then there are other programs, complicated programs like Visual Basic, Java, Drupal. These are coders and programmers can use this language to build it. Even WordPress can be coded because WordPress is built on PHP language, right? But the cool thing about WordPress, even if you don't know coding, you can still do something within your limitation. Does that make sense? If you want to do something like crazy, like Kirby's Steakhouse, right? Then you have a developer that can actually redesign everything. So my advice for those that work in the Kirby's Steakhouse, don't go there and mess up anything because it's hard-coded and it wasn't a theme that you just put it up. The developer made a lot of changes to the coding, okay? But at least you need to know the basic functionality of what each step means on the back end, okay? So the first thing you need a domain name, and the domain name is like what? Like yusuf.com, target.com, google.com. That's a domain name. You need that. In order for you to get a domain name, there are so many hosting providers like GoDaddy and whatnot. Getting the domain name is not enough. The reason I mentioned this, I meet so many prospects. They tell me the same thing. Yes, I have a website. I bought a domain name from GoDaddy. I said, okay, do you have a hosting? No. Okay, I can't build it if you don't have a hosting. Okay, so domain name, think of it like a PO box for your address. And the web hosting is like your house. If there's no web hosting, you can't build anything on it. Okay? And I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes different types of hosting. Because every hosting has a different features and whatnot, okay? So you definitely need a web hosting server because this is where you do what? You build, you install, you save all the information. It's like renting a space. That's what you're trying to do, okay? And of course, website platform. Of course, today we're going to talk about WordPress. That's the platform we're going to use because this is the most, not just basic, but I think 27% or 24% of the internet is actually built on WordPress. Okay, and a lot of companies like Ford, Time Magazine, they all actually have their website built on WordPress. Any question? Are we good? Genius again. All right. So domain name is your website address. Like this is my company address. The domain name can be your business name. If you go back like 8 years ago, there were some businesses, what they used to do, they used to buy a keyword-based domain name. So let's say I'm Yusuf Dentist, that's the name of my business, Yusuf Dentist, whatever, right? But instead of getting yusufdentist.com, they would look for something like San Antonio Dentist, because that is a keyword. Does that make sense? I don't recommend that anymore because things has been advanced and changed. From branding perspective, I prefer that if your business name is called XYZ Dentist, then try to get XYZ Dentist. Why? Because you don't want to confuse your customer. Does that make sense? I mean, your target market looking for your name, but they find different domain address, and they might become spectacle because what is it? Is this the same business owner? Is it somebody else? I mean, the only time I suggest that you get a keyword-based domain name if you have like a landing page, like if you want to set up like some sort of promotion or sale or some advertising for different web that points back to your website, then you can do that. Okay, make sure it's short and not too long. I've seen some website is like way too long, so you don't want to have a website that says the what do you call it, the dentist on the Leon Valley on the side corner of the street.com. That is going to be too long and nobody can remember that. Okay, even if you want to make an abbreviation, they're not gonna get it. Okay, make it very short and easy, maybe 3 words maximum, and that's about it. Don't make it too complicated. A while back, a couple of years ago, I was trying to close this deal, but I couldn't with this prospect. I think it's called San Antonio Medicine Association, something like that. And they usually help with the UTC and Spurs. That's physical whatever clinic. But so I thought if it's San Antonio Medicine Association, it should be like SMA, something like that, right? No, it's SATXSS. I'm like, man, this is so hard even to remember. How do you customer remember this complicated, abbreviation? Makes no sense. Okay? Any question? Are we good? Yep. How are we doing on time? Are we good on time? All right, so web hosting, as I mentioned, it's the home for your website, not the same as the domain registration. Now, if you go to GoDaddy, for example, you can buy the domain name from GoDaddy. You can also get the hosting from them, right? Or you can buy the domain name from GoDaddy, but you can get the hosting from somewhere else. What's the difference? Does anybody know what's the difference?
I don't know. I got mine through Mojo Marketplaces, and I don't know why.
No, Mojo Market is not a hosting. That's just a theme.
That's different.
Hosting versus GoDaddy?
Yeah, so you can buy the domain from GoDaddy,
right?
Domain name, but you can also buy the hosting through them. Or you can buy the domain name from GoDaddy and the hosting, let's say, from Rackspace. What is the difference?
The service? Yeah, they help design and all that. If you purchase both through them, the other one may not.
Good point. Here's the thing. The difference is just the location. That's it. The first one, you have everything with GoDaddy. Everything through them. It's very simple. The second option is you just hosting is somewhere else. So God forbid something happened to GoDaddy server, they're down, but guess what? All your information is still somewhere else. So it's an option, it's not a must. A lot of developers, what they do, they buy from one domain. When it comes to hosting, they do it from somewhere else. If you buy it from GoDaddy, the domain name and the hosting, it is much easier to set up because you're getting everything from one spot. Does that make sense? But if you buy the domain name from GoDaddy and the hosting, let's say from SiteGround, you need a little bit of technical knowledge. What I mean by that, you have to log in to GoDaddy and point with something called a name servers of the SiteGround in GoDaddy, so you can point back to SiteGround, so you can build everything in SiteGround. Okay? So those are the options. So you don't have to do either or, but whichever is simpler for you, you can stick with that. Okay? I mostly do the second option, which is I buy the domain from GoDaddy or Namecheap, but I host it somewhere else because in my experience, GoDaddy's hosting. Sorry, GoDaddy, it sucks a little bit. Okay? So I don't use them. I don't recommend them. I'm serious. You can go to Google and type a lot of issues. There's a forum. Service goes down. I don't recommend it. Do I have a client on GoDaddy? Yes, I have some clients on GoDaddy. But I like to use maybe WP Engine, SiteGround, HostGator, those services have an excellent customer service, so I build it there. Okay, so that's the difference. So this is something you need to know because you will come across prospect businesses, friends that has similar issue. They might have everything in one place, or they might have the domain in GoDaddy and the hosting somewhere else. And this is very possible to set up. Does that make sense? People asking questions in Periscope? Okay. So here we go. Types of web hosting services. So the first one is shared hosting. So what does that mean, shared hosting? You don't know. Just by the name of it, shared hosting. Any idea?
It's only, you don't have, it's not just yours. There are other people on this.
Yeah, so you have this one computer, one server, that all of us have our account there. So we're sharing it. That's why it's cheap. Okay, so one server might have probably, I don't know, 50,000 customers. Okay, we're sharing it, that's why it's cheap. That's the advantage. The disadvantage, what if Ashley has this awesome, I don't know, fitness website, and she's getting all this huge traffic, right? And suddenly, ours starts to get slow because she's getting all the hits, right? There's a possibility that it might affect, not necessarily, but there's a possibility that it might affect our size. Or if you get a virus on your website, there's a possibility that we might get an issue. Does that make sense? But the advantage is that it's very affordable. So what I do with a lot of small businesses, what I advise them is you need to start with a shared for now. Why? Because you gotta invest wisely, right? So you start with a shared hosting. Once you make enough, generate enough traffic, enough income, then you can switch to something more dedicated. So and the difference between the shared and dedicated means what? That server belongs to you. Nobody else shares it. And that's how much it costs. Every month. These are monthly. Okay? And for somebody that wants to build an e-commerce store or an online store, we actually recommend that you go with a dedicated because of security issue and payment and whatnot. But initially, you can always start with that. Once you make enough money, then you're gonna go to dedicated. Then you have cloud hosting, this is like where your information actually set up in more than one server. So if one goes down, you can still be working. Virtual private server is like a one machine that makes virtual servers that you can build on it. Don't worry about that. The last one, because WordPress is so popular, there are companies specifically do hosting only for WordPress. So if your website is not built on WordPress, they're not going to host it. Like, WP Engine is specifically for WordPress, and they're from Austin. They have a new office right now downtown at Geekdom. So they specialize in WordPress. What's the benefit of that? That means they know WordPress. So if there's an issue with your website, guess what? They'll be able to help you fix the problem. Pressable is another company here in San Antonio that also specializes in WordPress hosting. SiteGround, even though they have different kinds of hosting, but they also introduce WordPress hosting. Even GoDaddy introduced WordPress hosting because it became very popular, okay? So that's the benefit. It's a little bit pricey, but the benefit is if I'm going to go with a company that specializes in WordPress hosting, that means their technician will have more knowledge to fix any issues that come across your WordPress platform. Does that make sense? All right, any question? Awesome. So these are some of the popular sites that I use with my clients. You have GoDaddy, Flywheel, Namecheap, WP Engine, Pressable. Of course, these guys are from here, from San Antonio. These guys are not cheap. Okay, Rackspace. Stay away from Rackspace. What? No, it depends. Okay, I like SiteGround because even though they're affordable, but the customer support is awesome. SiteGround, and they also have a free migration. So if you are fully hosted with GoDaddy and you want to move your website, everything, all the content to a new hosting, they will do it for free. If you have like a 1 gigabyte of space, okay? HostGator, I've been using it for a long time. They're also good. All right, so this is my SiteGround. If you're interested to get a web hosting with SiteGround, this is my affiliate link. That means when you sign up, they will pay me, okay? They'll give me $50 every sign up. Yes, I have to tell you guys this, okay? So that's my link, all right? I'd appreciate if anybody you share this link with them. All right, now let's talk about quickly. What time is it now? We have to take a break. What time is it?
9:53.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Yes.
Can I just ask you something?
1 second. All right, folks, we're going to come back after 10 minutes. Let me just go ahead and pause this. I'll see you.